Hey space enthusiasts! Get ready for some out-of-this-world news. SpaceX is launching the Starship to orbit in February. It's not your average launch. It's a big deal. Picture this. Elon Musk's SpaceX making history in the vastness of space. We're in for a cosmic show, and you're invited. Join us as we spill the details on this space adventure that's about to change the game. Something extraordinary is on the horizon, and you won't want to miss it. So let's get started. In 2023, SpaceX's huge, reusable Starship rocket went on 2 test flights. The first trip was in April, and the second was in November. Now, people from the company have said that the third trip of this nature could happen as early as February 2024. The Vice President of Customer Operations and Integration at SpaceX during a media call on Tuesday, January 9. Jessica Jensen said that the company is already looking for permission for Starship's third trip. The event's goal was to talk about ways to make NASA's Artemis moon program better. We have set January as the date by which we want all of our stuff to be ready. From the point of view of the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, we are also going to get a license for Flight 3, Jensen said. The FAA is the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration. It was also said by Jensen that SpaceX is working on the fixes that were asked for after the second flight test of Starship. The company does think that the FAA will give the go-ahead for the third flight test in February, though. We expect that card to show up in the month of February. Based on this, it looks like 3 will happen in the month of February this year. SpaceX and NASA want to do an off-Earth propellant transfer as part of the Artemis 3 mission in a few years. This was another topic that was talked about in detail during the conversation. Artemis 3 is the spacecraft that will take 2 humans to the moon's surface and then back up to orbit around the moon when their stay is over. NASA picked Starship to be the crewed lander for Artemis 3, the vehicle that will land on the moon's surface in 2021. Rockets and spaceships, on the other hand, use up most of their fuel when they leave Earth's deep gravity well. This means that a huge vehicle like Starship would need to be refueled in orbit before continuing to the moon. It has been asked for a long time how many of these refueling flights would be needed to fully refuel Starship while it is in space. That subject was brought up during the call, and NASA Administrator Bill Nelson even stepped in to make sure the question was answered, even though Jensen's first answer did not give a clear number. In answer, Jensen said that the Artemis 3 Starship will need roughly 10-ish flights to get more fuel. However, this number might change based on the results of the tests that are done to see how well the propellant can be transferred. Jensen said that the third test flight of Starship that is coming up will not be the mission that does the on-orbit ship-to-ship propellant transfer for Artemis 3, which is what the mission needs. It sounds complex and scary, and it seems like this kind of big nebulous thing. But when you really break it down into the various pieces, we've actually achieved almost all of the complex parts already on our operational programs now, and it's just gonna be piecing them together for Starship, said Jensen. Amit Kshatriya, who is the Deputy Associate Administrator for NASA's Moon to Mars program, said that one reason why there have been so many estimates of the number of propellant transfer flights is that both NASA and SpaceX are using a lot of different models and analyses to try to figure out what it will be like to refuel Starship. But Kshatriya says, the rubber will hit the road when we actually try to do this in orbit. SpaceX has been extremely transparent with us, and we've been sharing a lot of data with them about our own challenges in terms of cryogenic refueling. Along with the fuel transfer tests, Kshatriya said that the agency also plans to use Starship to do an unmanned landing test on the moon before Artemis 3 is launched. During the teleconference, it was said that the new goal date for the crewed Artemis 2 mission is September 2025. This mission will take a crew of 4 around the moon and back. The crew that will make history will include Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, who will be the first person of color to leave low Earth orbit, or LEO, and mission specialist Christina Koch, who will be the first woman. There will also be Jeremy Hansen, an astronaut from the Canadian Space Agency, who will be the first person from outside of the United States to leave LEO. After that, Nelson said that Artemis 3 would come out in September 2026. With the amount of time needed for Starship flight tests and propellant transfer studies, that goal seems like it will be harder and harder to reach. SpaceX lights up the huge Starship rocket to get it ready for the third test flight. SpaceX used Ship 28, a prototype upper stage for the Starship, in a static fire test on December 20. The Raptor engines of the vehicle were briefly lit during the test, while the vehicle stayed moored to the pad at the Starbase site in South Texas. In order to get Starship ready for its third test flight, which SpaceX hopes to do in February, Ship 28 was ready to do the test mission. From what I can tell, the schedule is still on track since the testing today went well. Flight 3 Starship successfully completed a full-duration static fire with all 6 of its Raptor engines, SpaceX wrote on X, what used to be Twitter. This afternoon, there was also a video of the test in the statement. Starship is made up of 2 parts, a huge first stage rocket called Super Heavy and an upper stage spaceship that is about 50 meters, 165 feet, tall, and is also called Starship. Both of these stages are driven by SpaceX's Raptor engine, which is the 3rd generation of the engine made by the company. Both of these steps are meant to be quickly and completely used again. Another story from SpaceX that came out today on X says that Super Heavy is powered by 43 Raptors and Starship is moved by 6 of them. In 2023, the Starship went on 2 test trips. The first one was in April, and the second one was in November. According to both plans, the upper stage was supposed to go around the Earth and land in the Pacific Ocean close to Hawaii on the return trip. Neither of the flights was meant to do that. Starship had a number of problems during its launch in April. The most noticeable was that its 2 stages did not split as planned. Another thing that SpaceX did was decide to deliberately blow up the rocket 4 minutes after it took off. Among the important things that happened on the second flight were the separation of the stages and a normal first stage engine burn. The mission was also cut short early when the upper stage exploded about 8 minutes after the rocket was launched. SpaceX is moving toward the goal of launching Starship back into the atmosphere soon. This can be seen by the fact that Ship 28 and its flight partner, a super heavy prototype called Booster 10, are still being tested. That being said, it's not clear when that will happen. It's possible that SpaceX will still have to wait for permission from the Federal Aviation Administration to launch, even if the tests continue to go well. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, is currently looking into what happened on Flight 2. The FAA won't give SpaceX a license until the probe is over and all the necessary steps have been taken to fix the problem. As we conclude this cosmic journey, we hope you're as thrilled as we are about the upcoming SpaceX Starship launch to orbit in February. The stars have aligned for a historic moment in space exploration, and we're excited to have shared this anticipation with you. Keep your eyes on the skies and stay tuned for more celestial adventures. Until then, may your curiosity about the cosmos continue to soar.